G'day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Arrow Slingers. We'll start off quickly with what a tournament the Matchplay was. I mean, absolutely sensational. Some of the best darts we've seen all year, all tournament long. Plenty of high 90, ton plus averages, left, right and centre. So that's what we want to see. We want to see competitive matches. There's a lot of close games that were very close to going to sudden death, or even went to the best must win by two clear legs situation. Maybe not the sudden death leg, but just all round, absolutely brilliant. Before we go deep into it, also congratulate myself. I won my first ever tournament, well, league, whatever you want to call it. It is an online comp in Group 3 that really means nothing, but I was pretty happy with that. And the big change has been the dart. So I was using a Red Dragon Marlin, but now I've changed to these bad boys. I'll give you a look at them. Just the paper helps me get some, focus. These are the Shot Tribal Weapon colour. They're a good looking dart. They grip well. The grips I've been using for a while, and the grip hasn't dropped off or sort of grinded away. So getting a lot of good accuracy with those bad boys. So moved up a group. I think I averaged 59.5 in the final. And that was with doubles being 6 out of 40 odd. So if I could tighten that up, I'd be all right. But who cares? So MVG, what a win it was for him. And now has has won the Premier League and the Matchplay. Two of the big three tournaments that they call them. Premier League's not ranked, but it is a massive event that everyone wants to win. So well done to Michael van Gerwen. He got it together against Dimitri Van den Berg. He was 4-1 down, 13-10 down, and won 7 of the next 8 legs with a 98 average and got the job done there against Dimitri. So the other semi-final was Gerwin Price and Danny Noppert. We spoke about both these semis. We previewed them a little bit last time around. And really, the moment of the tournament, which will come up in the top 3 later, the 9-dart leg from Gerwin Price was absolutely sensational, which puts him to 4 9-dart legs for the year. He hit one at the Worlds earlier on. 2 on night 4 or 5, I think night 5 of the Premier League, and another one now at the Matchplay. And it was absolutely sensational. Never looked like missing. Some of his other finishing in that one was fantastic. I think he had a 161 and a 164 with a 9-dart finish as well. So it's just some sensational, brilliant finishing. Scoring was there. He was absolutely phenomenal the whole way through. He had 102 average, 13 180s, and just looked absolutely outstanding and rightly deserves his number 1 in the world spot. Michael van Gerwen put a lot of distance between himself and Michael Smith. And everyone's been talking about Michael van Gerwen, how he's been down for the last 2 years. So what that means now is with him starting to win again, it won't be long before he's not going to be defending. Not much money is going to be coming off. There will be a bit, but not a huge amount is going to be coming off the back end of his, rankings, so the 2-year cycle. So then the 2020 Worlds, I cannot remember exactly how he went. I'm going to bring that up and see, because that's what will come off at the end of this year. So if everything that comes off, other players are going to have more coming on. So the 2020 World Championships was won by Gerwin Price. Peter Wright. Gerwin Price. Not sure. It would have been Gerwin Price. That's when it was all in lockdown, and he beat Gary Anderson. We're just bringing that up now. So a semi-final for Michael van Gerwen. I think I've got the wrong ones here. Well, we'll look that up properly later. So no, it would be the 2021. That's what we've got to bring up. Bear with me. We're just getting through all this crap, and then we'll get back to what we're supposed to be discussing and talking about. Say a quarter-final for Michael van Gerwen at the 2021. Now, that's where Chizzy absolutely tore him to shreds, 5-0. So there's a lot to look forward to for Michael van Gerwen, a lot of ranking money coming his way. And don't discount the end of the year being a time when he's back up near the number 1 in the world spot. with Peter Wright and Gerwyn Price having done pretty well in the year 2021, all that's coming off. So that's going to be good for Michael van Gerwen to look to get back to number one in the world. So the final was set up for an absolute cracker. Gerwyn Price, Michael van Gerwen. It's highlights, it's fireworks, it's everything you want. Some of the other best players in the world, Peter Wright, can also create that. Michael Smith, you know what you're going to get. These two are fireworks. They're going to hit 180s. They're going to hit 9-dart legs. There's going to be massive finishes. They've got every aspect of darts under control. And it's just brilliant to watch. Gerwyn Price got out to a 4-0 lead at one point. You kind of knew Michael van Gerwen was going to come back. He was just missing doubles every other leg. All the legs he was scoring well. So it was always going to come. And he almost won his first leg on a 9-dart finish. It was absolutely brilliant. And he wasn't far off. He was just wide on the inside. You could see Gerwyn Price's face, a bit of respect shown there, and just we were just winced as almost got it. But Gerwyn Price stands alone in that regard of hitting a 9-dart leg. So yeah, fantastic. It was, and you had Michael Smith just miss as well. So he started working his way back into it. Michael van Gerwen. What are we up to now? Yep, so Michael van Gerwen has 160 checkout to help get himself back into it. He had 5-ton plus checkouts in total. I think there was a 124, 130, the 160, a few others that I can't remember. But his best finish, he hit a 82 peg. He went for the bull to leave double 16 or 20, 25, 17 tops, but he's hit a 7 to leave 75 and he's gone out of bull, in a bull. And you could not see it. You could not get in there. The cameras had to move around just to get a bit of a look in. So, well done. That was next level to watch that dart go in. It was like, how did you get that in there? If I block anything, I'd just basically throw the dart away almost because I'm never going to get anywhere near it. But I think Gerwyn Price, he kind of was just holding him off. But Michael van Gerwen won the last 5 legs from 14-13 down to take out the win and just cement himself as the force he was. You're never going to see him get back to the absolute domination that was 2016-17. I know Gary Anderson won the World Championships, but Michael van Gerwen by how far was most people's predictions in everything. Gerwyn Price was fantastic in the final and the whole way through the tournament. He won the crowd over, as he continues to do that night at the Premier League. The crowd was absolutely cheering his name, even though it was in England. He deserves the number one spot in the world. Just the way he can just turn it around. A lot of the talk was that he wasn't in great form coming in. Michael van Gerwen wasn't in great form coming in, but they turned it on, and that's what they, like, champions and the best players do when the best tournaments are there. They turn it on, and he absolutely did that. He said it himself that he didn't have one of those patches, like he had a great patch against Noppert, he had a brilliant patch against D'Souza. Shinley, he turned it on late after it was going, he was getting a bit tight, so he just didn't quite have that. He was pretty solid the whole way through. I think he ended up with a 97 or 96 average. But he just didn't quite have that patch where he was just unstoppable. Even at the start, Michael van Gerwen was missing doubles, and that probably helped Gezi get out to a 4-0 lead. Yeah, but he's probably the only player in the world that can go with Michael van Gerwen in that phase. Maybe Peter Wright if he gets going, but Michael Smith probably crumbles a bit under the pressure. Not as much as he used to, but definitely I don't think he goes with Michael van Gerwen in that sort of mood. Gerwyn Price probably the only one that can really keep up. His mental state is absolutely fantastic. He's just never flustered, worries about his own game, and just gets on with it and dominates. So as open as the world of darts is at the moment, I can definitely see these two players continually dominating and, yeah, really working their way to being basically in every final, especially now with the way the seedings work. So 1 and 4 are on the same side of the draw, 2 and 3. With Gerwyn Price 1 and MVG 3, I could definitely see them meeting up in most finals. So it's going to take a lot of hard work from the others to get anywhere near those two. So let's do a little bit of review stuff, the fun stuff. The best match, I think, of the tournament, probably Krzysztof Ratajski and Peter Wright. I spoke about this game last week, but I think it was a 99 average to a 103. It was a 13-11 result to Peter Wright. There was just backwards and forwards the whole way. Peter Wright threw really well, but could not shake Krzysztof Ratajski. And that was with Ratajski was not in form coming into this tournament. It's been a bit of a battle all year for him. He got through the first round against Stephen Bunting pretty well, but yeah, he just was not in the ballpark, same ballpark as Peter Wright as the way of quality goes coming into this tournament. As I have a sip of my coffee. Look at me with my coffee. The missus tells me off for yawning every episode, but the coffee's to try and boost it up. Even though I'm excited, it's an excited yawn when I do it, so don't worry about that. So he was really struggling, and just Peter Wright could not shake off Christoph Ratajski, and it went all the way to 13-11, so it was supposed to be first to 11 at this stage, and then it goes to must win by 2 clear legs, so it didn't quite go. I think once it got to 13 all, it would have been a sudden death leg, but it didn't quite get to that stage, unfortunately. But brilliant. It was brilliant to watch, and yeah, a bit of respect at the end there between Ratajski and Peter Wright. Honourable mention goes to the matchup between Michael van Gerwen and Nathan Aspinall. That was an absolute cracker as well. That one went pretty deep. I think it was 16-14, and Aspinall had a chance to send it a bit further, but didn't quite take it out. Best performance, I think you've got to go to the final. He missed quite a few. He only doubled at about 30%. Did MVG. So if you had have had that a bit higher up near 50 where he normally runs at, his average is going to skyrocket and be right up around that 105 plus mark. But the 5 ton plus checkouts was absolutely outstanding. A 160, I think the 130, a 124. As I said, that checkout on the bullseye from 82. He was absolutely on, and it was a great performance, and it took a performance like that to beat Gerwyn Price. It was only going to take that. Too much less, and he probably runs away with it, especially with the start that he had to get himself 4-0 up. Honourable mention, the Price versus D'Souza. Gerwyn Price was sensational. He turned it on for a while, averaged 104, and D'Souza was hanging on in there, but just couldn't go with him the whole way. All right, so players that surprised me. Nathan Aspinall bouncing back the way he did, so he's been building and building and building, but this was the big test. It's a big tournament. He's had that injury early on in the year, hasn't played a lot of big tournaments all year because it happened just after the Worlds. He started to really struggle. I think he pulled out of the Masters. I'm not 100% sure. Cannot remember, but I know Danny Nopper did. But the Asp, he was really good and really pushed Michael van Gerwen all the way when Michael was really starting to turn it on. He beat Luke Humphries, and no one thought he was going to beat Luke Humphries. He took care of James Wade. So there's some big names to get through. And if he had just had another couple of legs in him, out of Michael van Gerwen, he probably gets himself all the way through to potentially a final. So well done to Nathan Aspinall. And the other one, Danny Noppert. Look, I know those two they're really highly ranked players in the world, but a bit of a surprise for me is especially Danny Noppert, because Nathan Aspinall's been around a bit now. Danny Noppert a little bit as well, but probably not as long as Asp on the PDC circuit. He was over at the WDF, was Danny Noppert. But since coming over, he's slowly worked his way up, and he's now consistently finding himself at the pointy end of tournaments. So he's won the UK Open. He did really well at a couple of the World Series events. He's now made it into a semi-final of the World Matchplay, basically one of the second biggest tournament of the year. So Danny Noppert, I think he's really starting to get up there. He's no longer a top 16 floating around that mark, going out in tournaments like this where there's only 32. He's not just making the top 16 or the top 8. He's really pushing himself up to that semi-final and final spot consistently. And he really blitzed his way to the semi-final. He was unchallenged basically the whole way through. I think it was 10-6 or 10-4 against Dolan. He took care of Dirk van Duijvenbode like 17-11 or something along those lines. So some really good performances, and I think he gave Gurney a touch-up as well. That was 10-11-4 maybe. Yeah, so really, really solid standout performances. So we've got the top 3 moments. There's probably not many surprises here. Number 3, Dirk van Duijvenbode's face when Michael Smith missed his 9 data. Dirk van Duijvenbode was always going to win that match. At that point, it was 9-4 up, I think, in a race to 11. So it was well and truly on top in front. Michael Smith has just missed just wide of 9 data, missed by a mil. And his Quid's face looks away. Ooh, that's close. The crowd was going absolutely ballistic. Nathan Aspinall, just a little run on he had towards the end there, getting a little mini session of 5 legs. He won that 4-1, and was on a roll, and then mentioned to his mate that he needs to go have a break, and was just really on fire. It was pretty impressive and just fun to watch. But at the top moment of the tournament, you can't go past Gerwyn Price's 9-dart leg. It was absolutely sensational. He did not look like missing. And he just goes the other way. He goes triple 19, triple 20, double 12 at the end there. It just looks just as, if not better than in traditional 9-dart leg. And the crowd was just absolutely nuts. They went ballistic, loved it, and that gets them on side. And when Gerwyn Price is up and about, shouting on stage, and the crowd are going nuts for him, it makes darts more fun to watch. No one wants to go and watch darts where it's quiet and no one's really saying much, and that's a little bit boring. So he brings the heat. The match play, as I said, it was absolutely sensational. So I talked about this last week. There's been a bit of a lull in the performances of all year, all tournaments. The Premier League just did not quite live up to the standard that it normally rolls at. The European Tour, you do see some performances. Luke Humphrey's been really impressive there. The Players' Championship events, we don't really see them. They're kind of behind closed doors. But once again, you do get some good stuff. You also get some not so good stuff. But this whole tournament was a real step up in the quality. There's a lot of ton-plus averages, a lot of high 90s. One thing we didn't go through, so that's what I forgot to do. The disappointments. The disappointments for me at this tournament, I've spoken a lot about. We'll go with Damon Hedder first. Not so much in Damon and his performances. It was just disappointing as an Australian fan to have him not perform the way he would like to and the way he knows he can. Because if he had turned it on and got himself going, he was a real chance to take out MVG, a real chance to go deep in the tournament. So, a bit disappointing for Damo to go out so early. The other one, Callan Ridds, I was really excited to see him play. I thought the way he performed at the Worlds, and as I said, you throw a few youngsters into this. So Bradley Brooks, Callan Ridds is a little bit older, Nathan Rafferty, Keane Barry. They've all had these performances here and there lately in the last 6 to 12 months where you think, wow, what a superstar this kid's going to be. But they just haven't taken that next step yet. So it was really disappointing for him to only get 2 legs against Dimitri Vandenberg, and it was almost like he didn't play in this tournament. So hopefully he can put in the hard yards and get himself up and running for the second half of the tournament, because he's a good player and he will feature in a lot of the tournaments that are upcoming. So that's my disappointments. And that's it for the wrap-up of the World Match Play. I think it is the second best tournament going round. I'm a big lover of the Grand Prix for the double in, double out, and I know a lot of the players like it too, because it is something different that the Premier League have to offer. And we all love it because we've been sitting there watching the Premier League for 17 weeks and we've only seen the same 8 players. So to have it come through and be pretty exciting. And so what did you see? Semi-final. Who was in the semi-seed? Noppet's not in the Premier League, so good to see him. And Dimitri Vandenberg, Michael Van Gerwen, only one of those. Dimitri's not in the Premier League either. As I said, Jose de Souza had a run to the quarters, so you get to see a lot of these players go deep in tournaments that aren't involved in the Premier League. So that's good. So we got a bit of breath time now, a bit of time to just settle down and have a think and have a look at what's going on in the world of darts over the last 6 months, because we have just over 2 weeks till the Queensland Darts Masters, so we'll have a bit of a look at that. We'll have a look at the qualifiers next week and go through how they're travelling this year before the next episode will be looking at the draw and seeing how everyone's going to go. So 2 weeks till that, which means there's 3 weeks until the New South Wales Darts Masters, 4 weeks until the New Zealand Darts Masters. So we do have, there's 3 Players' Championship events coming up. I think that's next weekend, probably kicking off on the Thursday or Friday. So time for Gordon Mathers and Simon Whitlock to really get to work and put themselves in with a shot at taking the next step. Simon Whitlock has dropped down to 27th in the world rankings, and Gordon Mathers has got a little bit of work to do to get himself up to number 64, which is that key number to get his tour card for next year. he can do a lot of damage at the Worlds, so he won't have anything coming off. So all he needs to do is get himself a good spot at the Worlds, get into that top. He's not going to make the top 32 in the world, but should be able to make the top 32 on the Pro Tour Order of Merit, which is where the top 64 players for the Worlds come in, where they then fill up with 32 qualifiers from around the world. So get himself into that top 32 on the Pro Tour Order of Merit. We'll have a good look at how much he needs to make there. So I think it's Players Championship. It might be 21 coming up, which means there's about 10 to go. He'll hopefully get himself to the Players Championship finals to make up a little bit more and get himself right into the World Championships and contending for a tour card. I think he'll get it done, no worries. And Simon Whitlock, he'll just be looking to get some wins under the belt and get himself right up there as well. Hopefully, potentially qualify for the Grand Prix. We know we're seeing him at the Grand Slam after the effort at the the World Cup. And yeah, Damien Hedder is in Perth at the moment, I believe, holidaying. So I don't think we'll see him at those Players Championship events. There's no European Tour events until September, so it is not a lull in darts, but a bit of a breather for him. It's been chaotic, absolute chaos for him for a while with Euro Tours on the weekend, midweek Pro Tours. You had the World Cup of darts, the Premier League finishing off, so quite a few of them need a bit of a breather, which is good. So one of the things I think I went through last week, and it has caught my eye a bit, is the level of respect between players in darts. Hang on, a bit of sip of my coffee. A lot of people, they're not fans of Gerwyn Price. They're not fans of Michael van Gerwen, due to what they perceive as arrogance. But I think the respect between players sometimes goes a bit too far. Like, it's weird to say, but you did see Rowby John and Dimitri Van den Bergh cuddle for about 13 minutes after their match. Jose de Souza was basically crying on Rob Cross's shoulder for another 4 or 5 minutes after their match. And yeah, I think it's creating this concept that players like Gerwyn Price, Gary Anderson's the same as well. Phil Taylor was always the same. Peter Wright's very similar. And like MVG, Gerwyn Price, they're not into that. Like, they're not cuddlers. If they've lost, they're annoyed that they've lost. If they won, they give a handshake, they have a quick chat. Yeah, you don't need to see so much love, do you, on stage? We don't need to watch them cuddle for 5 or 6 minutes and look awkward. And yeah, so don't confuse that with a lack of respect. That it's just a handshake and you get on with the job. I think it's brilliant just to watch them play darts. I don't need to see the embraces all the time at the end. And yeah, if you're live on Facebook, that's right, Dan. Professional respect, that's all that's needed. I think there was an issue. MVG maybe took it a little bit far at the US Darts Masters. I think it was Jules Van Dongen he was playing, and after the match he said, I win that game all the time. I was never worried. He's not as talented as me. That's going a bit far, and probably that level of respect is not what we're after. He could probably just respect his opponent a little bit better than that. But yeah, it definitely does. We definitely don't need to see the love and the long cuddles. But a lot of the hate for Van Gerwen and Price, mainly Price, I think it comes from jealous Englishmen, to be honest. They don't have a number one at the moment. They're really hoping that Michael Smith pushes himself through. And even one comment that I saw was that the Price-Van Gerwen final was going to be boring. To think that is going to be a boring final is absolutely nuts to me, and it just proves that there's a level of jealousy and disdain based on the fact that they're the number one and the number two, or number one, number three players in the world. Because they're always going to be fireworks, and I can't wait to continually watch them play big finals consistently. So the second half of the year is going to be massively, massively interesting. Mainly ranking-wise, so there's a lot of players that will start to drop off money-wise, a lot that will come through. I like to think Dimitri Van den Bergh has been playing so well. He won back-to-back World Series events. He made a semi-final here. Just starting to look really good, Dimitri, and he actually dropped down from 9th to 14th because he has money coming off the back end of 2 years ago. Glenn Durrant's about to have a massive fall as well. Devin Peterson's another one that's about to really drop off. if they don't start winning, they may start winning all these players and keep themselves in there. Simon Whitlock's got a bit of work to do. I think he had a really good 2020 Grand Slam, so he'll need to do well there as well to keep himself right up there. He was 25th at the start of the year. He's now 27th, but he is starting to find a considerable amount of form. So very shortly, maybe next episode, we'll have to do a mid-year review of how everyone's going, where all the rankings are looking, some of the best moments of the year so far. A lot of them will come from that World Match Play that just happened. And we'll have a look at the Australian Open, I think it's called, that is happening. That's more of the WDF style stuff, so there's a lot of players coming over for that, and a few gun Aussies as well. Taking to the stage down in Moama, of all places. Imagine flying over from England and getting off at Melbourne after a 15-hour flight, and then you've got to drive 3 hours up to Moama. No thanks. So enjoy a little bit of a break from darts. We'll have a little bit more fun next week and go through so we'll find some of the funny stuff from the year and some of the enjoyable things that have happened. Take it easy and see you next week.